Hey guys, it's Josh. Welcome back to the Landlord Harassment Channel. And Brent Haverkamp Week continues here on the Landlord Harassment Channel. And as a matter of fact, it just might not have to. It just might have to bleed into next week because I don't plan on making any videos tomorrow. And there's a couple more emails after this one that I feel compelled to share with you guys. Now, in order to speed things up, I'm actually going to share two emails with you guys today that I had sent to Brent Haverkamp, and I'm going to share his response to those emails. Um, so we'll get right to it here. Now, the first one was really simple. After the last email from my last video, I waited a couple of weeks and I simply said, Brent, this is Joshua Johnson. I am checking to see if you got my previous emails. It's pretty much all it says. All right. Didn't get a response from that. Now, this next email jumps ahead a long way because I didn't. There was one more email to Brent soon after that, but I've lost it in the mix, so I'll have to dig it up later. But after that, I didn't send Brent any emails for a long time because Brooks, after I walked into Brooks' office with the camera and put the camera in her face and basically exposed her harassing me, she backed off for a long time. But what Haverkamp tried to do is they tried to deny me a lease renewal offer, just based on the fact that I wouldn't put up with Brooks' bullying. And that's illegal. That's targeted harassment under the law, including Iowa law. So I sent Brent an email, and this is, 6 months later, maybe. Like I said, Brooke backed off of me for like a good 4 or 5 months after I walked into her office with that camera, and we've talked about this before. Anyway, here's this next email. And obviously, and just like in the other videos, I'm going to post the entirety of this email at the end of this video so that you guys can read it for yourselves. Then, of course, I'm going to post Brent's response. Okay. Brent, owner of Haverkamp Properties. I'm sure you know who this is, so I will get to my point. I am requesting a meeting with you. A one-on-one meeting, though I am okay if you have one other person there as a witness to what we're saying. In this meeting, I am going to present all the evidence I have of Brooke Farmer's harassment and intimidation against me. All the documentation, all the video evidence, everything. I will turn it all over to you. But this meeting should be in person. Again, I am fine if you have one other person there as a witness to our interaction. I will be recording our meeting anyway. Haverkamp's decision to refuse me a renewal offer is what's driving me to do this. This is going to make me look bad to future landlords. And I don't deserve this. I have lived a quiet, unassuming life here for 8 years. The only reason that your managers are refusing me a renewal offers is because I wouldn't put up with Brooke's constant harassment and intimidation techniques. Speaking of Brooke Farmer, you all know who she is already. You say you're a Christian and all that, right? Give me a meeting and hear me out and examine the evidence I present to you. That's all I'm asking. Brooke went out of her way to target me and intimidate and bother me for most of the entire year of 2022. Please give me a chance to prove this to you. If you give me this meeting and I believe that you have examined the evidence fairly, I will take down all my YouTube videos about Haverkamp and pursue action no further. I am also hoping to convince you to fire Brooke in the meeting, but that goes without saying. Now, if you're thinking of blowing this email and ignoring my meeting request, I will ask you to consider two things. I'm sure you've heard that I am a quote-unquote problem tenant. But if I were really a problem tenant, then why wasn't I a problem tenant during my first 7 years here? Is it a coincidence that I became a problem tenant when Brooke decided to start screwing with me? The second thing I'd ask you to consider is Brooke herself. If you keep her employed with your company, she is going to be a big liability for you. Because even if I am unsuccessful in my pursuit against Haverkamp, the fact remains that Brooke is going to be Brooke, and she is going to do Brooke stuff. Eventually, she will decide that she doesn't like someone else, and she will start targeting that person. And eventually, she will choose the wrong person to mess with. What's going to happen is if Brooke decides to zero in on one of those wealthy Illinois kids whose parents pay their rent every month, for example. The parents are going to sue you blind. Or she's going to start messing with some employee she doesn't like. The employee is going to secretly record the interactions, and that employee is going to sue you blind. Brooke is a major liability to your company. You guys should take heed of this even now. All the stuff she's pulled on me is not a one-time occurrence. She will eventually start messing with someone else. And she will eventually create major trouble for your company in doing so. Anyway, this is my request for a meeting with you. I don't want other Haverkamp management like Todd or Vinny there. You can have another person there, that's fine, but not them. Please let me know and please get back to me. P.S. Please also consider the duress that I am currently living under. I feel like any time I try to resolve a noise issue with my neighbors or try to communicate with my neighbors at all about the noise, that Brooke is going to put a notice on my door threatening to evict me. And I shouldn't have to feel like that. I've done nothing wrong. That's the end of that email. Pretty powerful stuff, right? I didn't enjoy writing that. Didn't want to write that. Didn't want to be in this situation in the first place. You never think that as a tenant, your landlord is going to start targeting you and trying to evict you for, wanting peace and quiet in your own home, especially when you've been the perfect tenant for 8 years, But that's what happened. So, I know that's a lot for you guys to drink in, but like I said, I promised you not only to read you my email, but I promised to also read you Brent Haverkamp's response to me, like I do in every other video. So I'm going to scroll down here. Brent's response email. Oh, right. He ignored me again. Just like the previous emails I sent him, he had no response to this one either. Not directly, not through intermediaries, not in any way, shape, or form. This is how they were treating a guy who was quietly paying his rent and living quietly in his apartment for 8 years, giving them no trouble whatsoever. So there you go. Every time I think about this, man, like just the rage runs through me. You know what I'm saying? Because I did nothing to bring this on. But that's why I said I'm taking Brooke down. I am going to ruin Brooke's career. I'm going to ruin Vinny's too. And probably Brent's. I mean, Brent will probably survive because he's the head of it and he's got tons of money anyway and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to put a big hole in Haverkamp. And I'm not going to stop until I do. And by the way, to the other landlords around here, if you're watching this, I'm not after you guys. I'm not out here to expose Ames landlords in general, just so you know. Your little rent racket that you've got going on, working with other landlords and all that, I'm not here to expose that. All right? I don't care about that. There's nothing I can do about that anyway. It's a waste of time and energy to even put into that. The only reason I'm going after Haverkamp is because one of their employees bothered and harassed me and singled me out and targeted me for an entire year when I was doing nothing wrong. So, I want to make that clear too. Anyway, here's the email so that you can read them for yourself.